Hiya, it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today I have an Altenew card for you, but instead of a floral one, we're going for a birdie themed one. So I'm going to take these birds step by step. So the first one I'm doing there is the one that's turning back on itself, and that's the middle one in the step by step diagrams. So you're starting off with the body of the bird, and you're going to stamp that first. Now for this I'm going to be using Mountain Mist. So these are just the colours I'm using. You can use whatever you want, but I did find that I needed to work out the colours because some of them are overlapping, some aren't. So now we're going to the head of the bird, and you can see it's marked here to show you how to match that up. To be honest, you don't need to be super fussy, but you need to be reasonably fussy for this one, because this one is going to have the beak and the feet, and they're connected, so you need to get it reasonably right, but it's not like the end of the world. So as you saw there, I did that in bamboo, and now I'm doing the beak and the feet. So you can see here how it's on one piece, so you do need to fiddle around. And obviously what you're not seeing is I'm cutting out a lot of the fiddling around, because otherwise you'd be here all day. But obviously there's quite a bit of me just moving it, trying to get it in the right position. So don't think because I've done it in a snap that it's easy peasy, because it's not necessarily so. Now the legs and the beak I did in Citrus Burst, and the eye here is being done in the jet black. It has got like a little white bit in the eye, so it looks kind of cute. So now we're doing the wing. Now you can see here this one's overlapping, so this is where we need to think a bit more about the colouring. So this is called Volcano Lake that I'm using, because it's a darker colour, so it overlaps that one quite nicely. And then another one that's overlapping is the end piece of the tail. So again, you could do this in one colour and it would build up quite nicely, and you'd get kind of shades of the same sort of toning going down, which would look quite effective. But for this one, for me, I'm going in with turquoise, which is a really strong colour, but it's on its own it would be much bluier, but with that it kind of layers up and has that greeny tone. So now we're on to the second bird, and again that's the bottom one in the diagrams there, and I'm using Mountain Mist for the body of the bird here. There's not so much on this one, there's not so many layers, so it's a little bit easier, but again the colours are overlapping here. So you've got his little wings, so I'm just showing you here how it sits. Now obviously I've slightly angled the body differently, so that's why it looks a little bit different, but I'm going in for the Volcano Lake again. I think for this wing it's not the end of the world, to be honest. How you position it, it's not affecting anything, so it's not too drastic. And then we've got the top of his head. So what I've done is I'm trying to mix up the colours a bit, but also sort of bring colours from one bird into the other. But for the top of this bird's head, we're using baby pinks. I'm bringing in some nice pink, just really liven it up. But as I say, it's just really up to you. You could do it very muted, you could do it Christmassy, whatever you really want to do. Each bird for some reason does have a different eye piece in the stamp, so I mean I'm not sure why, whether it is different fits or not, but it does have like a different circular eye for each one. So as I say, I don't know, it didn't seem drastically different, but it does do that. So for this one's beak and feet I'm using Chamomile. Just thought I wanted again just to mix it up very slightly. And then for my third bird here, again we're starting with the body. I'm just following those instructions step by step, and for that I'm using Rose Quartz. Now this is again one that's over layering, so you just again need to think about, the colours that you're using will layer up okay. So this one I'm doing the baby pink, which is slightly darker. It's kind of like the end of his wing, and so you just need to marry that up. Now for his tail and his little cheek piece, they're in one, but you don't have to do them in one colour. Now I'm doing them in two colours, so I've done the bamboo and the Volcano Lake. However, when I did that, I wasn't so happy that the baby pink seemed a little pale, so I restamped that, and I felt that evened the colour up a little bit. But obviously that's up to you, but that's the beauty of course of the stamp platform, so you can fiddle around with it a little. And then again using jet black as before for the eye. Now for the feet, again they're connected, the feet and the beak. I guess you don't have to do them the same colour. I did Citrus Burst here, but I actually did go back with the Chamomile just on the beak. You can see the beak's a little bit more orange. And next I did the branches. Now for that I wanted to do like a two-tone effect, so I used hazelnut and vanilla cream, and I kind of just blended it a little bit on the actual stamp. I didn't do it twice, I just stamped it, blended it on the stamp itself. So next I cut a piece of the white card into A5 approximately, and then I just took the sea breeze and also my volcano lake and the bamboo, and I blended the 3 colours onto the card here. As you can see, it's a pretty rough blend. I wasn't that impressed with my blending skills at this point. However, I knew I was going to go in with the water, and that's so forgiving when you go back in with the water and you splash it down like I am here, and then leave it for a few minutes. You can see as I'm doing it and I'm talking, you can see that the water is making larger and larger splots. So leave it till you're kind of happy with the look. Bear in mind that when you put the tissue on it, it's going to draw up even more of the colour, but essentially it just corrected the problem. I wasn't happy with it at all until then. So next I've taken a piece of vellum. I know it looks like I'm stamping on my actual base of my stamp platform, but I'm not. I'm using some like clear ink, embossing ink from Simon Says Stamp there, and I've got this gorgeous super fine white embossing powder from Creative Expressions Cosmic Shimmer, and it's just really lovely for sentiments because it really works really well for that, and it just embosses them beautifully. And as you can see, it also has a really lovely shine. So next I took the dies. I actually had the dies that went with the stamp set, and I used my Sizzix Big Shot here. I've got a magnetic platform, so I literally put pretty much all of them through in one go, and I die cut all my birds and my branches. I'd also stamped, which you didn't see, the little hearts. There's some little hearts that came on the stamp set, so I die cut those as well. Then I took myself a white piece of card, folded it in half to create an A5 card. I took my A5 piece of blended paper that I created, and I just cut a little bit off the sides so it was just a little bit shorter on the sides, and I stuck it down. Then I remembered that I hadn't added my banner that I created so carefully with my vellum, so luckily I was able to peel that off just a little bit and tuck it under. All I did with the vellum was I marked it and then I scored it in the place that I needed to, and then I was just able to tuck it under and stick it down, and that would have been really annoying if I couldn't have pulled that up, but luckily it worked out okay. So for you, if you do copy this card in any way, then make sure you do the vellum before you stick it down. Next I just shaped my little birds and I positioned them roughly where I wanted, and then I just put some adhesive on the back of the branches, and I stuck the branches down before I stuck the birds down, because obviously I wanted the birds on top of the branches and I want the branches flat, and I wanted to put gel, what's it called, pin flare, my brain's going blank there, my lovely pin flare glue gel in the back of my birds. As you can see, it basically I can put a lot of the pin flare in the bit that I want the height and less on the bit where I want it to dip down, so it keeps the shape that I've created with the bird. So it really is great for that, whereas if you use foam, you obviously have got much more flat kind of effect. So then I stuck all 3 birds down in the same way, and as you can see I just added those to the branches, and then on the inside I just added a plain piece of aqua cardstock just to even the weight up and also to make it look more attractive on the inside. And then finally I just stuck those little hearts down, and I just put those onto the vellum. I just thought that dressed up that vellum beautifully. You'll notice also there with the 2 hearts were in the darker pink and one was in the paler pink, and that's it all done. And it was probably one of my most favourite cards that I've made for a long time. I really like this. This is really my kind of colours, as you can imagine. I've actually, bizarrely, it wasn't inspired by it, but I've got a stitching of little birds that I did myself that is kind of all in these colours, and it just reminds me of that as well. And yeah, I really like it. I'm almost tempted to actually cut it the back of the card and frame it because I like it so much. So I hope you do too, and if you don't, please be nice because I love it. So I hope you enjoyed making this with me. I hope it was helpful to go through the steps of the birds. I have to say, I thought it wasn't difficult, but I thought it was going to be super simple. Just what was more difficult was because you did have to think a little bit about the colours, and I wasn't thinking that. I thought that they would be all, I thought they were all individual elements. I didn't appreciate that there was still some layering going on. So once I realised that, it wasn't difficult to do, but I did need to think about it a little bit more than I was expecting. So I hope you found it helpful going through that. and that of course that you like the finished card. And finally, don't forget, if you're here on YouTube, do go on across to the blog post. The link is in the paragraph below this video, because you will see that there are loads and loads of photos on my blog post for this video, or any videos of mine that I do with blog posts, because I do go a bit nuts on taking pictures. Plus there's also going to be links to the products used. So thank you so much for watching. Do subscribe if you haven't already, either here on YouTube or on my website itself, and I will see you again next time. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.